I have some very, very sad news to bring to you this morning, and I'm sure that some of you will want to pass on your sympathies to the family of little Oscar Knox. He has died yesterday afternoon. This little boy who had been battling cancer so bravely for so long and became very much a figurehead for bravery in Northern Ireland. That little boy has died yesterday. His family sent out this tweet: "Our beautiful, amazing and much loved son Oscar James Knox gained his angel wings yesterday afternoon. Sleep tight, little man." And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, as that little boy is no longer with us. I went up to his home last year to do some filming with him, and there's this kid climbing the walls with his mum and dad and running about, and he's running about attached to equipment, attached to breathing equipment, because he thought that was the norm. He thought that every little boy or every little girl had to go in and out of hospital and had to go through all of the different medical procedures that he did. And yet we were all old enough to know that that was a very, very special kid who had an inner strength in him to keep on going and to try to be as normal as possible. And what I would say to Oscar's mum and dad, our sympathies are with you. And I would say to you that you were very, very special parents. I watched you and I saw you, and what you did for your son and how you fought for your son was very, very special indeed. If you do want to pass on your regards, your sympathies to the family, of course what you send in to us here in the Nolan Show, we will collate it and we will pass it on to the Oscar family, the Knox family, when the time is right. So the sad news that young man, affectionately known as Wee Oscar, has died. I want to come back to this very, very sad news this morning, that Wee Oscar Knox has passed away. He would have been 6 in September. The local boxer Carl Frampton is with us on the line this morning. And Carl, you got to meet little Oscar, didn't you?
No, to be honest, Stephen, I never did. I met his parents, and I just sort of was touched by everything that was going on, the whole story. Obviously, people make the connection because I wore that T-shirt after my last fight. But just absolutely heartbreaking news. Very, very sad. Kind of in shock because with the wee man, I knew he was very, very sick, but you kind of just expected him to get better because he's such a fighter. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, there was me presuming you'd met him, but you had met his mum and dad, who, sometimes in a situation like this, you compliment people and it sounds slightly exaggerated. There is no exaggeration to suggest that Wee Oscar's mum and dad are very, very special parents, how they fought for their son and what they did.
Yeah, the whole campaign and the awareness they raised around it, it was amazing. A lot of people sort of got on board and tried to help. I know my good friend Paddy Barnes and Mick Conlon, two boxers, they done a lot, and so many other people. It's a very, very, very sad situation. The poor kid Oscar is such a strong boy, but not only that, his whole family have showed amazing sort of strength and character around this whole situation. It's you just gotta pass your sympathies on to them. It's really sad times.
Carl, thank you very much, sir. Lord Mayor of Belfast, Martin Mueller, is on the line. Morning to you, Martin.
Stephen, good morning. Dreadful news at a time of celebration for the city, and I suppose our thoughts are with Stephen and Leona this morning, who shared Wee Oscar with the city, and that was a great act of generosity. I think they enhanced and brightened all our lives, allowing us to to meet and make friends with wee Oscar, but their heartbreak must be really unspeakable this morning.
I will be interested, and I would encourage you to pick up the phone this morning if you are sitting at home about wee Oscar. Because the kind marching of messages coming in to me on my Twitter feed this morning and on the text and on the phones. Let me just read this. This is indicative of what's coming in. A young man that will be remembered in so many ways by so many people. A great symbol of strength and courage for Northern Ireland.
Well, absolutely. What an ambassador, you know. And funny, I visited the blood transfusion people earlier in the year, and they say the entire blood transfusion service transformed by Oscar's heroics. We had the biggest ever blood donation service took place in City Hall. And why was it the biggest ever? Because Oscar's family were there. Oscar couldn't be with us that day. He was treated in the hospital. But it's funny how a wee man can change things and affect people's lives and move people's hearts. It's a tough thing to do in this city sometimes in ways that adults can't. You know, I don't know how does the city which loved Oscar, how do we show that in the time ahead, maybe in a different way? But we more than anything else this morning, more than anything else, I'd like as parents to know that we really feel for them this time, and you know, it's a very difficult place and a very dark place, and hopefully it'll give them some consolation that he changed lives, that he brightened lives, that he improved lives, and hopefully that in the midst of this heartache, that will bring them some consolation.
It's not unexpected news, but there's still a sense of shock today about this.
Well, you know, he had been down a little bit from time to time. You know, some of the appointments and when Stephen Nolan addressed Crew Council last year, for example, we Oscar at that time wasn't able to be with us. There have been different times when he had to be taken into hospital, perhaps at short notice. But I have to say to you that I think it is a shock to the city and to our people, because he did rebound. Every time we thought, well, surely the little man can't rebound from this. He's been so weak. He's endured so much that he bounced back every time. So I think actually people are shocked this morning, and I think we need to help the family work through this, because you know we all prayed for a miracle, Stephen. We prayed for a miracle, and maybe we shouldn't expect miracles, but in this case we really, I think, prayed harder than we've ever prayed before.
It just seems so unfair, doesn't it? You know, cancer's unfair on any individual, but this little boy would have been just 6 in September. And
there's words then fail us, and his spirit, his tenacity, his big smile. What a big smile! I think that has to help us try and make some sense of what defies logic and defies sense, because it's not fair, and it's cruel, and it's a dreadful part of life for those who were close to him. To Leona, that brought him into the world this morning, to Stephen, and then to that wider family, the wider fearless family that got to love him. So we'll have to dig as deep as possible, find a reservoir of strength, and maybe we'll have to search our dictionary to find the words that will give the family consolation, but also will lift the city and inspire the city, because it'd be wonderful. And you know, what a family Stephen and Leona are, that they talk about Team Oscar forever. Immediately their thoughts to the city and to everyone that loved them from across the world. How we keep a spirit alive, and that's what we'll do. You know, I've been quoting recently. I was at some other events for the bereaved, and there's a wonderful African saying, which is that if your name is spoken, you're not dead. And this is a name that's going to be spoken for 100 years and more in the city of Belfast.
Lord Mayor of Belfast, Marcia Mueller, thank you very much indeed. Sarah's on the line. Morning to you, Sarah.
Good morning, Stephen. I just want you to pass on my condolences to his whole family. And he was such a brave wee boy. That's really all I wanted to say.
He was not just a brave little boy. He had so much energy about him, Sarah.
I looked at him on Facebook just the other day.
Yeah.
And I seen him like walking. I think that must have been his mother. And then somebody else, holding his wee arms. And I just said to myself, he didn't look great,
I only met him a couple of times when I was filming with him, and it's very humbling when you walk into a situation like that, and we all get preoccupied, don't we, with our troubles in life, and you see such a young child, and my goodness, just how he was trying to lead a normal life, and his mum and dad were trying to give him as much of a normal life as possible, and the love that Stephen and Leona surrounded that kid with was absolutely outstanding.
It was.
I'll tell you one of the memories I have when I was up in his home. Oscar climbing the wall, literally climbing the wall in his, I think it was his Superman pajamas, and his dad there with him, helping him be Superman. And I guess that's quite apt this morning, because he was a super kid.
He was a super wee boy. He really was. And God bless his whole family. And they're in my prayers.
Sarah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Stephen.
John. Morning to you, John.
Hello, Stephen. I was just Nick, this is Sarah, married to his family. And what, as Martin O'Malley said, what a smile that we had. What a smile. He was a cracker. And suddenly just celebrate this wee man's life. As Martin says there, what a smile that we had, and for what he was going through.
Do you know another image comes to my mind, John, and you might not have seen this photograph, but there was a picture of this little boy, Oscar, up with the First and Deputy First Minister, with Peter Robinson and Martin McGuinness. And he was, from what I remember, he was standing on the desk, and he was in between the two of them.
Yep.
And I remember seeing it and thinking to myself, that picture tells a story in itself. It takes all the disagreement and all the bitterness that we have in this country towards each other, and the in-battling between politician and politics and all of that kind of stuff. There was a kid standing there in the middle of the two of them with a real life problem.
Yeah. I mean, he's bigger than them too, Stephen.
I don't mean no, hold on. I'm not criticising Peter and Martin there.
Yeah, well, no.
They were good enough to see him. What I mean is, it's for all of us to think about. He was bigger than all of us in terms of what we get drawn into and the arguments we get drawn into, And Peter and Martin, they very, very much, to be fair to them, they were very kind to that little boy. Okay.
I can say, we had such a smile, and he's getting up to a good place, and the good place is getting a good wee boy, man. He's a cracker.
John, thank you. If you are just joining us today, a very sad news that little Oscar Knox, has died. He had been battling cancer for a long, long time. And his parents brought his story into the public domain in order to try to fight for funding to get Oscar the very best treatment that they could. And they stood by that little boy through thick and thin. And they should be very, very proud of themselves. And they should know that there are lots and lots of people from around Northern Ireland calling us today to pass on their sympathy to the Knox family. Iris, good morning to you, Iris.
Good morning, Stephen. I just wanted to pass my condolences on to the brave, brave parents of wee Oscar, and just to say he was an inspiration to us all and will continue to be. And he carried his cross with such dignity for such a young child. And I have 3 sons of my own. I have grandchildren, and I can't imagine anything worse than having to go through that. Cancer touches us all at some stage, Stephen, and I had to sit with my brother, who was coming up to 80 in England, who died with prostate cancer, and it is hard, but to put it into perspective, he'd had his life. He knew he was going, but this wee boy, he just was so wonderful, so absolutely wonderful. And I think what I would say last is, and I just remembered a little quote from the Bible where it says, "Suffer little children to come unto me." And wee Oscar's suffering has all gone.
Why did he have such an impact on you?
His bravery, first of all, I love children. I love all children. And this wee boy had because we all go through hard times in life, and we all can get dipped and go into our wee world of self-pity. But when you see such a young child, where does that bravery come from? It's the core of his personality, and as well as that, the support and the love and the courage he got from those two parents. I just have so much admiration for them.
David has just tweeted me this morning, and he says, Oscar united this country in a way the likes of which we have never seen. My thoughts Stephen, and prayers with his family.
Yeah, you see, this is where when I listen to your programme and I hear about people arguing about what roads they can walk down, what flags they fly, we're only here, all of us only here, for a short time. And if I could just quote you the last verse of a poem I have, and it's called The Life That's Lent to You. It's too long to quote it all, it's beautiful. And it says, so come outside and walk the garden, drink the light like roses do. Gentle heart, don't ever harden in this life that's lent to you. And that's what we all need to remember when we're having petty squabbles, which thankfully I don't get involved in, about who owns what road or who walks where. This life is only lent to us all, and it's so heartbreaking to see a wee child having such a short life. And he was just so beautiful and so brave.
Thank you. Nathan. Morning to you, Nathan.
Hello, Stephen. I'd just like to pass on my condolences to the Oscar and Knox family. I watched the programme, and I think it was a year ago, and that wee lad just touched me. So I did. I'd agree with your woman. This just been on. We all argue about what we can play. I'm in a band myself, and we all argue what we can play, what we're allowed to walk past and what we're not. See, come down that wee lad Oscar. That shouldn't happen. So she's 6 years of age and taken from this world. Unbelievable.
Nathan, thank you. Julianne. Morning, Julianne.
Morning, Stephen.
We're just sharing, if you are just joining us here on the Nolan Show this morning, we're just giving you a platform to express your sympathies to the family of Oscar Knox, who has died aged 5. He would have been 6 in September. He became one of the most iconic figures in Northern Ireland because of his very brave battle against cancer. And the trend that is coming in the messages of support and admiration for that young man is that he united Northern Ireland. And you've just heard it from that last caller, as you'll hear it from many more today, that he made us think about what we fight about between each other when there's a young guy that had something to really worry about. Go ahead, Julianne.
Stephen, my brother passed away from cancer. He was 43, and just hearing about Oscar this morning, my brother suffered for 8 months, but we were walking into the cancer centre, and originally they told him there was no hope. Then they gave him chemo, and he said to me as we were walking in the doors, he saw a young child who was obviously suffering from cancer quite badly. He said to me, look at me, I've lived my life. Look at that poor child. If only they could have the years that I have, I shouldn't be complaining. You know, I'm 43, and that really said a lot. You know, and I just think, I volunteered in the children's hospice for a while, and I worked with children like Oscar, and they're so brave, and heaven's got another wee angel, but nobody can really underestimate the bravery of these children who are suffering, and the work that the likes of the children's hospice do, you know, and the support that they give to people. It's such a sad, sad day to have lost, you know, wee Oscar.
And obviously our thoughts with his parents. There are sympathies from across the community. Rangers supporters pages sharing pictures of wee Oscar at Celtic Football Club meeting their mascot. The club Celtic have tweeted their official condolences. Politicians of all types in Northern Ireland expressing sympathy. Paul McElkearney is from the Blood Transfusion Service. He's on the line. Morning to you, Paul.
Good morning. I've just actually heard the sad news about half an hour ago. So very, very sad. Like he fought a fantastic fight, so he did.
And there was a caller earlier telling us, Paul, that Oscar, one of the many things he did, but one of the things he did was he raised awareness for blood transfusion in Northern Ireland.
Oh, he did indeed. There's no doubt about that. And his parents did so much work for us. And in his short life, Oscar has encouraged literally hundreds of people to come forward to give blood. And so Oscar, in his own wee way, has saved hundreds of lives and will continue to for years to come.
Did you ever meet him?
I did indeed. I met him on a couple of occasions. He was up at our headquarters about this time last year, and he was running about the place, and he was just a lovely child. He was up with his sister and his mum and dad.
What will your memories be of him, Paul?
Of a very happy child in a very good family, and with a youngster who seemed to have a great appetite for life. He was actually on oxygen at the time, and they had to have an extra long tube so he could run about the place. And he very much seemed to be just getting on with life.
Paul, thank you very much indeed. The very sad news today that wee Oscar Knox, as he was known on Twitter, has died aged 5. He would have been 6 in September. Lots and lots of messages of sympathy and condolence coming into the Nolan Show today to his family, Stephen and Leona. Oscar Knox, the County Antrim boy whose brave battle against an aggressive form of cancer captured the hearts of many people in Northern Ireland, has died. He was 5. He died yesterday after a 2.5-year battle with neuroblastoma. There are messages of sympathy coming in from actually all over the UK. I see that the former Deputy Prime Minister John Prescott has said, "So sad to hear this. What a remarkable and inspirational young lad. Our thoughts are with you." The First Minister, Peter Robinson, has tweeted devastating news about Oscar. He was truly fearless and an inspiration to us all. My thoughts and prayers are with his mum and dad, Stephen and Leona. The Deputy First Minister, Martin McGuinness, can join us today. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Stephen.
What are your thoughts today, Martin?
Well, I'm, like everybody else, very deeply saddened to hear the news that Oscar has died. He was a truly special little boy. And his parents, Stephen and Leona, very special parents also. So it's a great loss for all of us. And I think my memory of Oscar goes back to the day that he came to Parliament buildings, and that, I suppose, famous photograph of him standing between Peter Robinson and myself was widely distributed, and I think that it speaks volumes for where all of us need to go in terms of the political process. But that day, he wreaked havoc through the office, was on the telephone and running through one office to the other and causing mayhem, and it was just one of the most joyous occasions you could ever see. It was incredible that a young boy who was suffering from the illness that he was had such a tremendous spirit. He truly was an inspiration. And
he had a tremendous energy about him, and then the juxtaposition, Martin, of that energy that he had running about like any normal little boy, and then the tubes coming out of him, which were to us adults a reminder of just how sick he was.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a very sick little boy, and even then it was quite obvious to all of us that he was very sick, and I suppose we were all very concerned that someday we would hear this news, and this news has come today. But I think at the same time we have to be very thankful to Stephen and Leona that they allowed him to touch our lives in the way that he did. And I think what really is heartwarming about the Oscar story is the way in which the entire community rose to support him. He was a unifier. And I think also, if you look at the social networks and the way in which Glasgow Rangers fans rallied to his cause, the way Linfield fans rallied to his cause, and knowing that there were photographs going up of him in the social networks of him standing at Parkhead in a Glasgow Celtic jersey, I thought that was absolutely fantastic. And I think in there somewhere is a very, very important message that we all need to be kinder to each other, that we all need to respect the different allegiances, because there's absolutely so much that unites us, and Oscar united all of us, and I think we're very proud that he was a 5-year-old boy who had such a dramatic impact on all our lives.
You mentioned his mum and dad there being special. They were incredible parents, and obviously they'll be hurting an awful lot today, but they can be so proud of themselves, of how they fought for their son.
Oh, they sure can, and I think they know that the entire community totally respects the brave fight that they put up on behalf of their son, and I think they also know on the day that's in it that the respect and love of the entire community goes out to them, and I think we'll see that in the course of the coming days. No, this is a very, very sad story, but at the same time, when you reflect on his young life, only 5 years of age, the dramatic impact that he had on all of us, the way in which he unified the community, there's an important message for all of us in that.
And it is an iconic photograph of him standing on that desk installment between the First Minister and yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, and no doubt it'll be widely seen over the course of the next couple of days.
What does that picture say to you, Martin?
Well, what it says to me is that we need to get real about what's important in life. And what's important in life is obviously the health and education of our people. But what it says to us also is that, this is a 5-year-old boy who had the ability to unite the entire community. And I am absolutely one who believes in reaching out. And in many ways, because of his predicament, Oscar was reaching out, but more importantly, the community reached back. And I think that, massive credit to Glasgow Rangers fans, to Linfield fans, to everybody in society, the Celtic supporters who all rallied to his cause. And I think that, the message that it says is that we need to be comfortable in each other's company. Peter Robinson and I have completely different allegiances, but that shouldn't make us enemies. There is so much that unites us.
Okay.
And I think what I look for, is what unites us and how we can develop that in a way, whether it be this year, the fantastic weekend that we're going to have, and at the same time, the way in which Oscar, the touching part of that photograph for me is the way he has his arms around Peter Robinson and my shoulder. So that's what's important.
Martin McGuinness, thank you very much indeed. The sad news that little Oscar Knox has died yesterday. He was 5 years of age. Well, it's pretty special to hear that, isn't it? That's tens of thousands of Celtic football fans paying tribute to Oscar Knox yesterday. Before the club's match with Dundee at Celtic Park, fans held scarves aloft with messages such as Heart of a Lion and Courage of a Champion, and sang You'll Never Walk Alone. Last night, Belfast paid its own tribute as people sent hundreds of flaming lanterns into the city's sky. Oscar was only 5 when he died last Thursday, but the little County Antrim boy made a huge impression in his short life. A celebration of his life was held yesterday at St Bernard's Church in Glengormley. Oscar's mum and dad, Leona and Stephen, got a standing ovation after making their tribute. Many of you wanted to share your own tributes to a wee man who touched many of our lives.
He has achieved much more in his 5.5 short years than many of us could ever hope to achieve in a lifetime. Words cannot express how proud we are of him. He was quite simply the most incredible little boy any dad could have wished for. I'm going to miss him. His hugs and his kisses so much. I love you, wee man. Best mothers ever.
Absolutely heartbreaking news. Very, very sad. Kind of in shock because with the wee man, you kind of just expected him to get better because he's such a fighter. It's just heartbreaking.
Lord Mayor of Belfast, Martin Mueller.
Our thoughts are with Stephen and Leona this morning, who shared we Oscar with the city, and that was a great act of generosity. I think they enhanced and brightened all our lives, allowing us to meet and make friends with wee Oscar. But their heartbreak must be really unspeakable this morning. A wee man can change things and affect people's lives and move people's hearts. It's a tough thing to do in this city sometimes in ways that adults can't.
We had shared so much of Oscar's life with the world, and we are so glad we did. It would have been an awful shame if he had passed through without so many people knowing how amazing he is. But Oscar managed to build his own legacy long before this day came. The most important thing to us, and what makes us so proud, is that Oscar made everyone a much better person. As hard as we are going to find the days and years ahead, we have to try to make the most out of every situation, just as Oscar always did. The stay in hospital meant time with his nurses and hours playing on his iPad. An anaesthetic and scan in the adult hospital meant a ride in the ambulance, with the lights on but not the sirens. Even needles and painful procedures, Oscar took a deep breath and did it. We could have been here 2.5 years ago, but Oscar put on a brave face, fought hard, and gave us so much wonderful time with him. Thank you, wee man.
Sarah's on the line. Morning to you, Sarah.
I just want you to pass on my condolences to his whole family. And God bless his whole family. And they're in my prayers. And he was such a brave wee boy. That's really all I wanted to say.
Oscar's favourite movie was Peter Pan. We talked to him a few weeks ago about going on a journey to Neverland. We explained that in Neverland there are no sore knees, no sore heads, and no sore tummies. Oscar had always told us that when he grew up, he wanted to drive a big green tractor instead of a car, and he was so excited to hear that old MacDonald lives in Neverland and allowed people to drive his big green tractor if they were 5.5. The best thing about Neverland was the biggest doty shop in the world, and that you got a new doty every day. When we got to this point of our story, Oscar took his doty out of his mouth, had the biggest smile, and said, "This is the best day of my life." He is just so special.
The Deputy First Minister, Martin McGuinness.
He was a truly special little boy. My memory of Oscar goes back to the day that he came to Parliament Buildings and that famous photograph of him standing between Peter Robinson and myself. That day, he wreaked havoc through the office, running through one office to the other and causing mayhem, and it was just one of the most joyous occasions you could ever see. It was incredible that a young boy who was suffering from the illness that he was had such a tremendous spirit. He truly was an inspiration. There's a way in which the entire community rose to support him. He was a unifier. Oscar united all of us, and I think we're very proud that he was a 5-year-old boy who had such a dramatic impact on all our lives.
Go ahead, Julianne.
Stephen, my brother passed away from cancer. He was 43, but we were walking into the cancer centre, and he said to me as we were walking in the doors, he saw a young child who was obviously suffering from cancer quite badly. He said to me, "Look at me, I've lived my life. Look at that poor child, if only they could have the years that I have."
Oscar has the best sister ever, Izzy, who is 3 and loves to dress up as Princess Belle. She's wearing her favourite dress today. She knows that sick Oscar's body is here with us, but that happy Oscar is up in the clouds. So enjoy yourself, wee man, look after us all down here, and have fun riding that big green tractor in the sky. Team Oscar forever.
It's very moving, that, isn't it? Very moving indeed. And you heard there from Oscar's parents, Leona and Stephen. I had the pleasure to meet them. And I think that everybody who has met Leona and Stephen say the same thing, that they are very, very special parents and they did everything they could for that little boy. And obviously our thoughts are with them at this very difficult time. The Olympic boxer Paddy Barnes also knew the family well. An amazing tribute also, Paddy. Good morning. At the front of the Belfast City Hall last night, where the City Hall was lit up in Oscar's colours, and we saw lanterns in the sky. Very, very special.
Yeah, he's probably one of the most special persons I've ever met in my life. You know, I've been all around the world and I've met some special people, but Oscar's definitely one of the specialist. And you know, he's touched so many people. Even you just said, the City Hall was lit up in its colours, and it's thousands of people lighting lanterns all last night. Not just here, but actually in America as well, in Philadelphia. Seen this morning with people in America doing the same for him as well. So it was great to see the support.
When you met him, what was it about him that touched you?
I remember it was in the Olympic Games and was fighting for my first medal, and I seen a picture. Somebody says there's a picture of you on the paper, wee Oscar, but I didn't know who he was. And I seen the picture. He's lying on a hospital bed with a Nazis once, and then I read the story and I found out what he was going through and all. And I see that's brilliant and all. And yeah, for me, if he's going through so much pain, so you know, I come home from medal and went to his house and showed him my medal and said, Oscar, or remember you can show me these things. I think, Doc, well, I've done that for you. And then, you know, you don't even think he's sick when you went to his house because he's so lively, running about. And I ran in, him and my sister Izzy, only Paddy. They gave him a full title, Paddy Barnes. And I run about, and they just usually the punch bag, you know, they're cheerful kids. So
I said this on Friday. I've never seen a kid with so much energy. When I was up in his house, like I know kids that age have a lot of energy, but I presumed because he was sick, he wouldn't. He was climbing the walls in his Superman outfit, you know.
People who have cancer and out there, you know, they're always drained off from the chemo and all the drugs are on, but I didn't know what drugs they're giving him because he was full of life every time I see him, always laughing, never ever complaining. And, you know, he was just like a normal boy. But obviously he had such a terrible disease, but you really wouldn't have knew with his personality that he had.
Really difficult time now for Leona and Stephen.
Yeah, you know, I didn't know how to put up so long, you know, showing a brave face, and they've been really, really strong. But at the funeral yesterday, when they were giving their speech, you know, I'm not a very emotional person, but even I had like a lump in my throat when they were giving their speeches, and like fair play to them, like they went through so much.
Paddy, thank you. Good morning to you. Tina McCrossan is Director of Children's Services at the Children's Hospice. Morning to you, Tina.
Good morning, Stephen.
We don't like to think of kids with cancer, and this story has very much brought it home to us.
Yeah, I think Oscar's very, very unique journey helps us all to think about the reality that for many, many families, their children are sick and are poorly and won't survive into adulthood. Last year we supported almost 300 families who all are facing this journey ahead of them or on different stages of this journey. But there's no doubt Oscar captured the hearts of everybody, not just locally but across the world in a particular way.
Why do you think that was, Tina?
Obviously because of the person that he is and was, and the person, you know, that how his parents engaged everybody to support him and to understand him and to listen to him. I suppose we're in a very, very unique position because we get to support families throughout this journey and to understand their experience and to share that journey with them. So we're in a very, very unique position in that way, that we see how families support their children and how they need to be supported themselves and how absolutely focused they are on their children's needs and having the best opportunities and the best experiences and the best quality of life for their child, especially as they are approaching the end of their life.
How many kids go through the hospice each year, Tina?
Last year we supported almost 300 families. And I suppose one of the things that people think about hospice is that children only become involved with hospice towards the end of their life. But actually, many children have conditions whereby their journey is very long. So it's maybe years rather than months or weeks. So while we knew Oscar for the last 4 or 5 weeks of his life, there are some children who we would be caring for years. So those conditions would be neurological conditions, degenerative conditions, and for many families they actually might not have a diagnosis at all, and that's particularly difficult because they're living with that uncertainty as well.
Okay, Tina, thank you very much.